Every element in the container can have two behaviors, which I call global and local. Global simply means that whatever value you choose for your curve, distribution, and time will equally affect all the parameters in this container. Local means that the values you set locally will be the ones used when some transformation is triggered. But how do we set values locally? To access those, you have to go to this icon to reveal the menu. Here we have these three controls, which are exactly the same that we have in here. So that is time, distribution, and the morphing curve. So if you go to this globe here, you see that it's enabled by default. This controls these two states, global and local. If you disable it, now we have entered into the local domain. So let's change the values for these parameters locally. This one will have a duration of 1 second, this one a duration of 0.5 seconds, and let's alter also the curves and distributions. So for this one I'm going to choose a is in, for the other one a circular is out perhaps. The distribution for this will be normal, and for this one will be beta. So since my domain is local now, so this is disabled, when I press a transformation, so I trigger a transformation for all the parameters, they will use the settings that I have just set here. Let's see if that's true. If I do interpolation, you can see that they behave quite differently from each other, and that is because they are responding to these parameters. If I re-enable the global, then that means that they're going to use the global controls. So they're going to respond to this curve, this distribution, and this time. And they go back to be in sync. There is yet a third behavior, which is that if you press on these buttons that we saw before, they will always use the settings that you have put in here. So this will use the 1 second with this curve, and this one will use the 0.5 seconds with that curve, and distribution, of course. So in that way, you can have a combination of both local and global behaviors. Now, let me explain the range. The range simply rearranges the slider and also rearranges the search space for the randomizations. So for the interpolation and the randomizing, the search space for those random values. At the moment, this is between 0.5 and 1. So what if I set it to be between 1 and 2? Then the slider automatically rearranges to be in that space, and if I trigger some transformation, the random search for those values are also in that space. So this could be any arbitrary values that you want. Could be very close, for example, 1 or 1.1. But if you choose, for example, a negative value for this, it will not let you do that because the built-in parameters for a period, which are defined by TouchDesigner, do not allow you to go below 1 for that value. For amplitude, however, this is possible because it makes sense to have a negative amplitude if wanted. So that really depends on the built-in parameters. For custom parameters, this is not a problem because you can always rearrange it since you are the one who is creating them. Okay. Now let me explain you what this lock button does. The lock button allows you to selectively choose which parameters change or not when a given transformation is triggered. So if I lock the period and I launch a transformation, then that doesn't move, obviously because it's locked. To go back to normal, all I need to do is disable that lock, and this will start to move again. This will also have an effect if you press these buttons, these local morphs and local randomization. They will not do anything. Finally, to destroy a parameter, you simply press on the destroy button. It will ask you if you're sure about that. If you press delete, it will go back and delete that. One thing that you should be aware of is that when you destroy a parameter, the original value found when you drag and dropped, is reverted in the node. So for example, in this amplitude, we have gone back to 0.5. Let me demonstrate this one more time. I'm going to change this amplitude to be 1.4, etc. And if I destroy it, then it will revert to the original value, which was 0.5. And this is convenient in case you don't want to be destructive with your experimentation. Perfect. In the next video, I will explain how to create presets and also a number of controls in the form of shortcuts that are very useful and important for you to learn.